Welcome to the Faithful Fathering Podcast. I am Robert. This is Jason, and you'll notice we are not Rick Works. Rick is actually getting things ready. He's about to head out to the High Country Adventure in Colorado. So we decided that it would be a good opportunity to give you guys more information about Faithful Fathering's trips and what they entail, what you can expect, and just a whole bunch of information to help you be more intentional in your fathering efforts. And we'll remind you that the ministry, Faithful Fathering, exists to encourage and equip dads to be faithful fathers. And one of the ways, actually three of the ways that we become faithful fathers, the three tenets of faithful fathering, is prioritizing physical presence, being engaged emotionally, and leading spiritually by example. These trips that Rick has been doing for a very long time actually allow men to do all those three tenets while they're out on a trip, right? And I've not had the pleasure of being on one of those trips. Jason has, so you'll be able to tell us from experience a little bit what they're about, what to expect, and we'll just get right into it. The first trip that we're going to be talking about is called High Country Adventure, and it's a father-son trip, right? It's a trip where fathers take their sons. This is a signature fathering event that Rick has been doing, I want to say over a decade. I know he's been doing it for a long time. It's the most attended out of all the trips, right? I mean, and that's the one that he's getting ready to go on right now. So they're preparing everything, loading up trailers, and just super excited about heading out to the Colorado mountains. What's the altitude up there?
Oh my goodness, Robert, it's over 10,000 feet.
Over 10,000 feet, man. Wow, that's incredible. Yeah. And these are held annually.
That's
right?
correct. Annually, typically around the last week of July.
Yeah. So right about we're filming last week of July. So right about now. And it's not just a trip to Colorado, right? It's there's so much more. There's time to be obviously prioritize physical presence, to be there with your children. There's time to lead spiritually by example, right? By getting into the word. And I'm assuming there's a time to engage emotionally, right? Because that's being out in the mountains. I mean, it's a perfect environment for, as a dad, to be able to do those things with our son. Correct. Now, it's open to who? Who is this open to? The High Country Adventure.
Sure, Robert. This is definitely open to fathers and sons.
Okay.
Typically, as well, there's opportunities if let's say you're a son that doesn't necessarily have a father that's present.
Okay.
There's also, you can take a mentor.
So mentor-mentee relationship as well?
Exactly right. They can also attend. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Good. Now, how does we briefly talked about prioritizing physical presence, being engaged emotionally, and leading spiritually by example. Can you go a little bit more into how those things play out at the event? How long are these trips?
So these trips typically, especially for the Colorado, are 1 week.
It's a 1 week trip. Okay.
Yeah, so you leave on a Friday, come back the following Friday, Saturday.
So that's 7 full 24-hour days of prioritizing. If that doesn't speak prioritizing physical presence, I don't know what does. That's great, because you know how it is. We're busy as dads. We're busy. We got work. Many of us are very involved in church, family, just so many. We get pulled, some leisure, we get pulled in so many different directions that it's hard to just stop and take time out and be intentional about prioritizing that time. But being out in the mountains, driving out 7 full days, and you were just telling me a little while ago that reception isn't always great out there, right? So you're kind of forced to really prioritize that physical presence, and that's good. Sometimes we need that as dads.
Absolutely.
Being engaged emotionally, what does that look like on these trips?
When I think about being engaged emotionally, that physical presence time sets the tone.
Okay.
Because what we do is each night we have time for devotion. Okay. And that's that spiritual component. We were talking about leading spiritually. So it gives the opportunity for the father to lead spiritually, and it creates that environment to talk about how you feel, your emotions. So, hey, son, for example, how do you feel about, as we're talking about the word of God and, how do you feel about sin? How's that in your life? How does that affect you? Are you scared? Do you feel like you can't live for God because of various reasons? And it opens up deep conversations.
Interesting. And I would imagine both ways, right? Because
absolutely.
If I'm out there with my son,
right,
and we're spending all this time together,
mm-hmm.
it's just great opportunity for me to open up with, and age appropriately, right? Our children are different ages, but
right.
I could if I'm in the hustle and bustle, I may not be thinking about sharing XYZ with my son, but
correct.
I'm forced. I don't want to say forced, but it puts me in an environment spiritually and physically
correct
to let my guard come down a little bit and be vulnerable in an age-appropriate way with my son. I love that. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. And another thing I want to mention, Robert, with that is, each evening when we do the devotional, we do it in a big group.
Okay.
And then we break up into groups, and then we break up into father-son pairs. So there's actually 3 dimensions to it.
Okay.
So you're in a big group, you break up into small groups, maybe 4 or 5 guys or sons, and then you break up with just your son. Yes, your son. And what happens is, from the big group discussion and the small group discussion, there's also questions for just you and your son to discuss.
Okay.
So those, even if you don't know, let's say, because I get it. If you're a dad, you're like, well, I don't know how to open up emotionally, or I don't know.
It's hard sometimes.
The questions are created for you.
Oh, okay. So you guys, it's almost like a guide.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that in the big group, you have questions that
correct.
The big group participates in,
correct.
And then those trickle down into the smaller group questions, which then
That's
trickle
right.
down into the father and son questions.
And exactly what you're saying, Robert, those questions of a father-son will be more intimate.
Right.
So that way, if you don't feel comfortable sharing in the big group or even the small group, sometimes you don't want to share certain things, but you can still share with your son.
Man, that is great. And that's, as we're going to be talking about in future episodes, the ministry has been doing ministry for coming up on 25 years.
Yes.
And the beauty of it is that I'm sure Rick has tweaked and changed and kind of made these things and perfected them over time. So we can't take for granted 25 years is a long time to be working on these programs and
correct.
And just being able to participate in them is a blessing, because we're participating in 25 years worth of work, of kingdom work, that would be beneficial not only for us but for our children, and Lord willing for our children's children.
Correct.
Right? Hadn't thought about that much, but that's great. Now, Jason, have you been on the High Country Adventure?
Yes,
you have.
Yes.
Okay, tell us your experience.
Sure. Last year, in 24 was my first time, and oh man, it was phenomenal. I experienced things that I've never experienced before, in the spirit, and also just even naturally. Some beautiful hikes up the mountains in Colorado, which was really cool, and just the building of the relationships, the other guys and things like that. It was a really time of bonding. There was cool. One of my favorite things was fishing. I love.
Are you a big
fish.
fisherman?
Not a big fisherman, but I love to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you and I have talked about being city kids. Like we're city type, but I've been getting the itch to go on these trips. Being involved with the ministry and seeing what you guys do.
Right.
And then a while back, my son a few weeks ago asked, Dad, he asked me something about hiking, and I've never been hiking.
Okay.
So it kind of, I think God is pushing me in that direction.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I cut
really
you
cool.
off, but you were talking about the experience.
Yeah.
What else can you share?
So the fishing, the time of devotion, like we discussed, and then at one point the guys broke out the baseball, things like that, the sports. Good food, y'all.
Good food. Yeah.
Nice cookout, barbecue. Man, the hiking, and then I think just the time of bonding, like the intimate conversations,
right?
Getting to know other people too, getting to know your son, of course, but also getting to know other guys and their sons and seeing that bond come together. It was a beautiful thing.
That's awesome. I can't wait. I'm hoping Rick gets some pictures and some.
Yeah.
If you look on the YouTube channel, you'll notice we have testimonies from father and son duos that have been on these trips, and just what they share is incredible. One thing that's been keeping me from committing and from going is it can be a little physically taxing, right?
Absolutely. We always put a preference out there. We don't want to lead anybody astray. It's definitely good to get your steps in.
Right. Yeah. Prepare.
Prepare.
You've got a whole year, right? We're in July of 2025. Hey. You can't go this year, but we can prepare for next year. So we need to get our steps in.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
And you don't have to have a six-pack to go. You don't have to be like gung-ho but I would say it was good to be in decent condition where you're walking regularly.
Right.
And
some of us, need it anyway. So
right.
It's definitely a good incentive. So once again, it lasts a week.
Yes, sir.
It's in the last week of July.
Correct.
So we got a whole year to prepare, Des. That is High Country Adventure.
Yes.
That is the primary, most attended Colorado trip. It is a father-son trip, but if you are a father with a daughter, we've got something for you too. Next up, we're going to talk about the father-son/father-daughter backpacking trips, also in Colorado, right?
Correct.
Those are held in June.
So yes, the month of June, before this last trip, which is in the last week of July, the one we've been talking about. So the month of June entails 1 week for the father-sons and 1 week for the father-daughter.
So they're separate.
They're separate.
Separate father-son, separate father-daughter.
Father-daughter. So if you have a son or a daughter or both, you can attend the 2 weeks or you can just attend the 1 week.
Right.
And those are a little bit more intimate, have less the amount of people, but more intimacy. They still entail a lot of the same things, the hiking, the fishing, the boating. There's still a lot of the same things, but it's just more intimate.
You know what I like about this one is that Rick has adult children.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And his adult children participate in the event. So, if you follow the podcast or the ministry for a while, you'll notice Rick talk about passing the baton. That is one way to pass the baton to the next generation. So it's really cool to see Rick and his children being involved in leading the father-sons and father-daughters. I'm assuming these trips also incorporate the 3 tenets of faithful fathering.
Absolutely.
Right? Prioritizing physical presence, leading spiritually by example, and engaging emotionally. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Great.
Absolutely.
And these are 1 week events as well, right? Each event is 1 week?
Yes. Typically, you'll have 1 week in June for the sons and 1 week in June for the daughters.
Gotcha. And next up, local to Texas. If you can't travel or don't have the time to travel to Colorado, we have local to Texas weekend retreats. Those will be father-daughter / father-son, and they alternate, right?
Correct. So typically, like this year, we're going to have a father-daughter coming up in November.
Okay.
And that'll be a weekend experience, weekend retreat. And that'll be in the state of Texas for sure. And then next year, we'll probably go back to the father-son. So it'll be like
1 year's father-son, 1 year's father-daughter. And you've been to the father-son version of this.
Yes.
Right?
We had, oh man, it's so cool because we collaborate with churches.
Okay.
On all of the trips. But this one particular one, I was able to take my father's son, took my son last year. Oh man, it was amazing. It was in the state of Texas. It was a local. And one unique thing that I do want to mention is I got to bless my son.
Interesting. So that to me was up until about a year ago. I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah.
Can you explain? Maybe there's viewers that don't really know what that means for a father to bless their son.
Sure.
Can you explain that?
Absolutely. I think it's so critical. I'll be honest with you. I've never blessed my son until last year. My son is currently 16 years old. And that was last year. He was 15, turning 16. And what that entails is it's biblical, first of all. There's blessings in the Bible of great men of God blessing their kids, blessing their sons. And what it entails is it's you declaring a blessing over your son's life, you praying, or daughter, because we do it in both.
Right.
Yeah, for the weekend experiences. And you praying over them, you speaking words of life over them, over empowerment, the Spirit of God on you. biblically, and then you kind of give them a gift. So what that means is last year, Rick had these really cool gifts where it was necklaces, and they had like a cross on it and different things like that. But there'll be a gift that you it's kind of like an impartation, like I'm blessing you from God as your father.
As your earthly father.
Yeah, as your earthly father, correct. Yes, it's a beautiful, I mean, honestly, words can't describe.
Interesting.
Like it's such a spiritual experience, but I would say I felt it's a very emotional experience for the father and the son. There was a lot of tears.
I can imagine.
A lot of men that never usually cry, even cried. It was a beautiful thing, Robert.
Wow.
Beautiful.
So that is those are the local to Texas weekend retreats that happen once a year. The next coming events is there's a 25-year anniversary gala. Faithful Fathering has been in ministry for 25 years. Rick has led it since the beginning. He's the founder. And, we were talking, Jason and I were talking with Rick the other day, and we were trying to figure out how many people have been impacted. And there's no way to really have a hard number to say, hey, this is how many people were impacted by the ministry over the past 25 years. But we came to the conclusion that it's very likely that over 100 churches have been involved in one way, shape, or form with the ministry.
That's right.
So you start trying to vaguely do the math, and you think, okay, if that's over 100 churches, how many dads is that? How many sons is that? How many grandchildren? And I say sons, maybe even daughters, right?
Yeah,
Sons and daughters are impacted by that. So the past 25 years have had an incredible impact on the next generation. And the gala is to celebrate that, but also cast a vision for the next 25 years of ministry and how many more lives will be impacted by the ministry over the course of the next 25 years. So be in prayer for that. If you want to contribute in any way, shape, or form, you can go to the website, faithfulfathering.org. And up at the top, there's a donate button. If you feel led to financially support the ministry in any way or be involved. In other episodes, we're also going to talk about how you can be involved in starting small groups in your church. Mm-hmm. But feel free to go to the website, and there are opportunities there on the website. Again, it's faithfulfathering.org. We also have, there's a Topgolf Family Fun Day coming up in December,
yes,
right?
Sir.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. I'm extremely excited. On December 6th, it's a Saturday morning. From 9 to 11, we are having a Topgolf Family Fun Day. Actually, hey, moms, you're invited too.
It's a family.
For the whole
fun
family,
day, right?
aunties, uncles, hey, you got
the whole family. It's a good opportunity to go out and hit some golf balls, learn a little bit more about the ministry, and see if it's something you want to partake in. So be on the lookout for that. That's coming up December 6th at a Topgolf location. And then also every spring there's a golf tournament, which is also a fundraiser. It's fun, a great opportunity to support the ministry. And it's great to see men that have just started getting involved with the ministry, as well as seeing men that have been supporting the ministry and involved in the ministry for over 2 decades. Like you see it all.
Absolutely.
And I've been to the past 2 golf tournaments, and it's incredible to see that many men that are interested in shaping the next generation of fathers. And of course, it starts at home, because our main ministry is at home, but you've got men that have already raised children,
right,
that are still involved because they realize the impact that the ministry has had on them and their families. So in closing, we just want to remind you guys that there's several different events, whether it's the backpacking trips or the high country adventure or something more local like a Texas weekend retreat, to a Top Golf tournament, a Top Golf Information Day. There are several events that you can partake in as faithful fathers, as part of the Faithful Fathering ministry. The next episode, we're going to be talking about the studies. There's different aspects of the ministry. The trips are just one part of it, but then there's also a very big part of the ministry are the different fathering studies that you can partake in, you can lead. Make sure to tune in for that. That will be episode number 2. we'll be glad to share with you and also answer any questions. If you guys have questions, if you want more information about the ministry, the studies, the events, you can always email admin@faithfulfathering.org. Stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you soon.